Hi, this is Rachel from Ray K Books, and today I'm going to be interviewing Wendy Staub, who is the author of The Perfect Stranger. Hello, Wendy.
Hi, Rachel. How are you? Hi, everybody.
Hi. Well, I'm very happy you're here. So today we are going to be promoting The Perfect Stranger. Can you please tell everybody a synopsis of your novel?
Sure. This is the second in a trilogy that has a social networking theme. These books are not connected by characters or by setting. They're connected by the premise that you really never know who's lurking online. So this is a standalone book. The first one was called The Good Sister. It was set on a fictionalized Facebook. The third one, The Black Widow, is set in the world of online dating. And this one is about bloggers. So it's set in the blogosphere. And my heroine is a breast cancer survivor, and she's a breast cancer blogger. She writes a blog like her fellow heroines. They all come together at the funeral of one whom they think has been randomly murdered in a random break-in. And when they get there and they all meet in person for the first time, they realize that she might have shared too much online and that one of them might have been responsible for her death, that there might be a killer lurking.
Ooh, might be a killer looking.
Yes. And here I am setting up webcams in my office, trusting online and sharing too much.
So, breast cancer, what made you think of doing breast cancer out of all type of blogging?
Well, in my life, we've lost my mother, my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law's sister, all to breast cancer when they were pretty young. And then when my sister-in-law was diagnosed, she's my age, she was diagnosed a few years ago, we didn't know anybody who had beat it. We didn't know, how to, sort of find hope and be positive. And so she found that online. She found kindred spirits online and the strength to fight it and to find positive energy. She's very shy. She became a blogger herself. She didn't just rely on blogs. She started blogging. And that inspired me because I was fascinated not just by the premise that somebody would be willing to share who wasn't willing to share so much in a room full of people, that she would put it all out there on the internet, but also by her courage and, the courage of the women that she met. I was just so blown away by that. And I thought, I write about strong women, really strong heroines. And to me, those are the strongest women I've ever met, including our moms.
And so this is mystery, and to me, mystery would seem like the hardest genre to write. Like, really difficult. So when you write it, do you have an outline? Do you like know who the bad guy is when you start writing it, or do you start writing and the story kind of takes its own turn?
Yeah, it's more that because when I first started writing, I've been doing this for 20 years, 80 books. It's been a long road, and I used to have to outline everything, and I was good at it when I had to be. Now I am really more comfortable saying, this is where I'm going, this is who done it. I can actually verbalize to my editor, and then I give her a really pretty brief outline on paper, like one page, very sketchy. I'm more comfortable letting the characters sort of take hold before I know exactly how it will unfold. My plots are really complex, and I do multiple viewpoints, and I just think that would be really hard to lay out all in advance. I wish I could, because it would be so much easier to write from a detailed outline, but I can't. I don't.
And what is a genre that you never want to write in, and what's a genre that you would like to start writing in next?
Oh, good question. So the genre that I never want to write in is sci-fi, because it's something I've never read. I always feel vaguely stupid when I try to understand. And I respect the genre, and many of my good friends are passionate about it, but I just don't have what it takes. I do other worlds, I've done like time travel and stuff like that, but I don't think I could write in sci-fi. And because really what I write is suspense, I would call it straightforward suspense fiction. Something that I'm going to try next, you heard it here first, is cozy mystery. I'm going to try my hand in a cozy. I did write a series with Ed Koch. He was the mayor of New York back in the day, and we co-wrote a cozy series together. I've never done it on my own, and I think it's time to give that a shot. So.
Yeah, I'd go for it. Why not?
Yeah, it's with cats and, you know, maybe some ghosts thrown in there, you know, just calling my name. I rescued a pregnant cat a few weeks ago, so I'm just like, I'm there. Inspiration.
A pregnant cat?
Mm.
That's something. Why a pregnant one?
She was sitting on our doorstep. Like, basically, that's what happened. We came home, my husband and I and our two sons, and there she was, and she was pregnant with 6 kittens. So my husband's allergic. We've never had pets, but we're keeping her. She's with a foster summer mom because I've been on tour all summer. She had her 6 kittens, and they're all up for adoption, and she's coming home to us. And she is going to be our cat and my muse, I think.
So how is tour going so far?
It's been great. A little bit hectic because it's sort of like, oh, Tuesday, it must be Tulsa, and, you know, Wednesday. So I've been all over for the last few weeks. This week I'm closer to home. So I was just in Saratoga Springs over the weekend, and now I'm just going right out to the Hamptons, which, you know, I was so excited about that until I saw the forecast. I think it's going to pour out. It's going to be a washout, which is good for book signings.
Yeah, but you're going to be in the Hamptons. That's my bucket list.
I am so happy. I mean, just for the night, but...
That is so cool. Take pictures. I want to see them on Twitter.
I will. I will tweet out.
Please do. Please do. Okay, so you said this is the 3rd book in the series, correct?
This is the 2nd. So the 3rd one is coming in February, and the 1st one was in October, and this is sort of sandwiched in between. And I just, like, tried to explore different areas of social networking for this. And really, you know, it's funny, it's really resonated with so many people when I've been out there now talking about it for the last couple of weeks since the book came out, and people just started nodding like, oh yeah, you never really think about, you know, I mean, someone in the book puts up pictures of her house and talks about her new bedding that she bought at Macy's, you know, those kinds of things. Like, that's pretty personal, and you just don't realize who might be watching. And interesting.
Yeah.
Mates.
So, since this is your 2nd book, are you currently writing the 3rd one right now?
No, that one's finished, and I just finished writing. I'm actually doing revisions now for a new trilogy that's coming with HarperCollins later next year, and that one is set in a fictionalized Hudson Valley village, kind of based on Rhinebeck. It's called Mundy's Landing, and it's a town with a bloody past. In the 1600s, something very horrific happened there with the early settlers. They've never really gotten past that bloody. You know, you think about like a town like Fall River, you know, or Salem, Massachusetts, you know, towns that are synonymous with something horrible happening. That's the kind of town this is. And now these are all set in the present day, but yeah, murder might just happen again. So those are up next. I have 2 more to write.
Wow, that's kind of like, okay, you're doing kind of contemporary-ish, and now you're going way back.
Yeah, they're not historicals. They're not like just the roots of the town are way back, but it all unfolds in the present, because this is a town that every year they invite crime buffs and, you know, sort of amateur detectives and from all over the world to come and try to solve these unsolved crimes in their past. So it becomes now like this carnival atmosphere, and so it's all set in the present day, but it attracts the media, it attracts weirdos and, you know, detectives, and it's just really, I like the idea of this town that really can't shake its reputation, so it tried to embrace it, and some are trying to capitalize on it. I just thought that was pretty cool.
So you said that you have published 80 books? Is that an exaggeration?
No, I'm older than I feel, I will say. I'm older than I feel. I've been doing this for a long time, so I've written across different genres. Over 22 years, I think now. It'll be 21 years since I published my first book.
How many books do you publish per year?
Right now I'm at 1 trilogy per year for HarperCollins, suspense. There were years when I was doing like young adults or you know, shorter format books where I was doing more than that, and then there have been years, of course, where I've done like 1 or 2. But right now I'm at 3, so it's been pretty hectic. That's why, you know, being on tour is one thing. Like, it's great when you can focus on that when you're trying to write too. It's become very challenging. And
well, it's mostly, to me, it's like that means that there's 80 plots in your head. There's hundreds and hundreds of characters that you came up with.
yes.
Like, yes. That's insanity.
It's very busy in my brain some nights. There is, and the early books, it's funny because even though I wrote them, it's funny when somebody picks up a book that I wrote in like 1997 and wants to talk to me about it, and they say, I really love the character of Jake. I'm like, Jake, who was Jake? It was so long ago. I did create these worlds, and I live in them wholeheartedly when I'm writing them, but it's hard to sort of later jump back into it. I don't read what I've written. Once I'm done and it's published, I don't go back and reread my own books. So, yeah, they're in the mists of time.
So you don't like go back to one of your early books and kind of like reminisce, or do you think if you do, you'd be like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong and why did I do that?
Yep, that's exactly why I don't do it, because then it's too late to change anything, and I am always, I always feel like I'm constantly editing myself. I used to be an editor, so, I would never be done. I would never be done with it. And I'd be horrified that it got out there with, oh, I should have done this.
Right.
That would be torture.
Right. So, do you ever think that you're going to be doing anything else, or is writing your thing?
Oh, writing is my only thing. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do, and it's I just feel lucky every day that it's what I get to do. It's when I can't write for a while, I start to feel sort of not comfortable in my own skin almost. It's like it keeps me sane. Some might disagree, but it does keep me sane.
So where do most of your ideas for books come from?
Well, I have a little file that's like around my desk somewhere. I'm doing this from the office where I write. This is the only place I can write in the whole wide world. Like, I can't go to Starbucks, and I'm not good at doing that. I have to write right here, and I have I tear out magazine articles, or I just jot down notes and throw them into this hanging file. It really is right behind me over there, and I have lots of folders like that, and I also email myself notes all the time, or 2020 I'll watch, or Dateline or something like that, and I'll get usually truth is certainly stranger than anything I could ever come up with, and sometimes you have to take a step back and say that's not believable that could happen, but it really did. So that's a great place too. The evening news. I snoop, I eavesdrop on people all the time, like in a public place, and just fascinated by conversations I overhear. And
yeah, there's this one little thing that somebody says just like sparks a whole idea.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just your little. When I talk to kids groups, like when I go to schools, I always say, it's the what if function of your brain just kicks into gear. And it's like, what if they're really spies, or what if and I just take it and run with it. And I've thought that way since I was a little girl, and most creative people do. So maybe a touch of paranoia in there too.
Speaking of little girl, awesome segue. Did you always know what you wanted to do, even though when you were little?
Yeah, I did. I actually, I wrote this essay when I was in 3rd grade, and my teacher, Mrs. Pizzolanti, assigned us, write about an American that you admire, and I wrote about Abraham Lincoln because I was a Lincoln buff, and I handed it to her, and she put it up on the board. I have such a clear memory of that day, and she told me that I was a good writer, and I went home from school and I told my mom and dad that I was a good writer and I would be a writer when I grew up, and they said go for it. So on the wall behind me, I don't know if you guys can see it, but when she passed away, her son sent me, it was hanging on her living room wall. It's a big, let me see if I can tilt up. There it is. It's that piece of glass behind me. She had made a collage of everything, my book covers and letters, and because I did get in touch with her later in my life, and I was able to thank her for being, just sort of inspiring a little girl and nurturing that a little bit.
Wow. Are you still in contact with her?
Well, she passed away. She passed away my birthday. Yeah. So she, so this arrived. She left me some things, and that was one of them. And it hangs there every day, and it reminds me and it reminds me to tell my kids that if someone crosses your path and makes a difference, it's a really good idea to tell them when you have a chance, because she never would have known, you know. She moved on, she retired, you know, and my mom and dad too. I mean, they were just like so supportive, and luckily I got to tell them.
So you said that you have boys.
Yes.
So do your boys read your books?
Yes. My older son actually is about to start his sophomore year in college, and he's a creative writing major. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and I wouldn't tell him not to. I wouldn't tell him not to do that. I was really happy when he chose that path. So he's been reading my books and editing them for me from the time he was really little. You know, probably like when I was writing young adult and he was 12 or 13, like he would really give me some great feedback on that. He was living in that world. My younger son isn't as much a reader. He's done some. He has read many of them, but he's done some work for me this summer, graphic design, and came up with titles for a few of them. It's a family business, and my husband is my business manager, so he is my completely, you know, he handles that end of it all for me. So it's a family business.
So your family is just like all writers and like all help you in some way.
Yeah, my husband was an English major too, and every summer, after we lost our moms, my husband and I decided to take the boys, and we decided I would sign in all 50 states. So we started traveling around. Every summer we would go with the boys, and we have one state left. I have one state left, but that was what we do. I'd research books, I'd sign, you know, we meet booksellers, and that was how they grew up. And I'm really so happy that we did it that way.
So speaking of research, on average, how much research do you take for your books, per book?
So much. I am constantly triple checking facts online, you know, that kind of thing, even the smallest detail. But in a big picture way, I visit the settings always, as long as I, you know, if they're not far flung, if they're pretty reasonable. And then I have a stable of experts, is what I would call them. They're my people who I rely on. You know, I have like a retired cop, I have FBI guys. For the book, The Black Widow, it's set in Orchard Beach, like in the Bronx, and I couldn't get there. It was the dead of winter, and I had a question, so I found this group of Orchard Beach lifeguards on Facebook, and I got in touch with one of them, and they helped me. They added such a new layer of depth to those characters. They're just minor characters, but I love to make it realistic. You know, so I do constant research. I never want to phone it in because it's not fair to my readers, and they will call me on it. You know, if I get something wrong, you know, they'll let me know. So I'm pretty careful. Right.
And so now we're going to play a game called Would You Rather. And and if you don't know what Would You Rather is, I would ask Wendy something like, would you rather eat apples or oranges for the rest of your life? And then she'd have to say apples or oranges, except this is literature edition.
Okay.
So the first one is, would you rather fight next to Hermione from Harry Potter or Katniss from the Hunger Games?
Fight next to? She's on my team, right? I'm not fighting against her. Oh, okay. I will take, Katniss was really, I have to say. She's a little more.
And then the second one is, would you rather read a book that is written poorly but has an excellent story, or read one with weak content but is written well?
Oh God, that's really hard because I was an editor. I'll take the excellent story and I'll just edit it in my head as I read.
That works.
It'll keep me hooked at least.
And then the next one is, who would you rather have as a child, Harry Potter or Hermione Granger?
Oh, well, I have two boys, so I'll take Hermione for that.
And then the next one is, would you rather write novels where all of the characters are women or all men for the rest of your writing career?
Oh, women, for sure. They're so complicated, so much more complicated as characters. I always feel like, you know, I keep peeling away layers, and there's more.
And then the next one is, would you rather only write your books in trilogies or standalones for the rest of your writing career?
For the rest of my career, I would take standalones because trilogies are they're tough to sustain because I write about ordinary people, and the odds that an ordinary person will cross paths with danger more than once in their lifetime are tough. So that's hard to make believable.
Right. And then the next is, would you rather write a book without using conjunctions or have every sentence of your book begin with one?
I'd have to say no conjunctions. That's a fun challenge. I'd have to look at it that way because, yeah, the repetition, no thanks.
Right. And now, would you rather write a plot twist you hated or write a character you hated?
Oh, a character I hated. I love writing characters. I love to hate my characters, especially that, they do dastardly things easily. That's it.
And it's fun to kill them, right?
Exactly. I can propel them through horrible, horrible circumstances and then kill them off in the end. Yeah.
Ah, because they deserve it.
Yes, they deserve it.
Okay. Would you rather a super successful movie be made from one of your books or a long-lasting television series?
Oh, television series. Because I think that good TV, I'm a sucker for a good TV show, and yeah, I've had some things optioned for TV, and we cross our fingers always. I always think, oh yeah, because the characters are then yours for a long time. They endure.
Out of 80 books, you should be getting one of those.
I'm hoping. Let's hope so.
Yeah. And then the last one is, would you rather critics rip your book apart publicly or never talk about it at all?
Oh, they can rip it apart publicly. That's fine. I have a background in advertising. Any publicity is good publicity. It's, I don't want to be obscure.
Very true. And that concludes our not chat. No, it concludes our game. So thank you for playing. Yay!
That was fun. Yay!
Okay, so we're going to go back to the questions. And that is, which actor or actresses would you like to see playing the lead character from The Perfect Stranger?
Wow, this is such I would say Ashley Judd or Reese Witherspoon because they are those strong, they have that strong Southern sort of that Steel Magnolia way about them, and that's who she is. My character is in Alabama. She's a Southern woman. She's a lady, but she's really steely, and I think I've seen them both do that pretty well in thrillers.
And what is the easiest and the hardest thing about writing?
Well, the easiest thing is that it's my passion, and when I really can sit down and let it flow, it almost feels like I'm reading a book, not writing one, because I feel like the pages, I can't wait to see what happens next. It sort of, when that takes over, that sort of passion and the creative flow, I love it. The hardest thing is making myself sit down every single day when I'm on a deadline and do it, because a lot of days there are other things that I either need to be doing or would rather be doing, and you get stuck and you don't really want to sit there and work it out in that moment, but you have to because the book is due. So it's hard. I think getting yourself into your chair in the morning is the hardest part, but I've managed to create a system that works, and I've done it. So it doesn't get any easier, but I do it harder.
Yeah. Okay. And so when you get through the hard times, what kind of pulls you out of this like, oh, I need to get back into my desk and all that the hardness, not the hardness, that's the wrong word, the challenge, the word, whatever it's called, the saboteur in your head?
Readers are so awesome, and someday, I can have a really bad day. Like today I had a really bad day, but here you are. And I've been, it's fun to talk about it and realize that, it matters, and that, people are so loyal. I have the best readers ever, and I'm on Facebook all the time with them. Like, I try to, I really get to know them, and not just Facebook. I'm less adept at the other platforms, but I really feel like they're friends, and they'll give you a little boost, or you realize they'll give you a compliment, and it matters so much. Like, how could I not feel like how rewarding after a lousy day that what I do matters. to someone.
Speaking of fans, what is a gift that a fan has given you that just blew your mind? Because I know you've gotten some. You have got, like, out of 21 years.
I have gotten some. I have tangible ones, and then I have words that they've given me. A really tangible one that is in my dining room is this woman read my Lilydale books. They were set in Lilydale, New York, which is a spiritualist community upstate. It's kind of near where I grew up. And she actually she bought this antique spoon that was from Lilydale from the 1800s and sent it to me. That was really meaningful.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when my mom was dying, and after she passed away, I had readers send me the most beautiful, I have blankets that I still to this day will wrap up in, and I feel like, it was just so kind. People were really there for me then, just their words then, too. It was really moving.
So you tried to take a trip to 50 states to sign.
Yep.
How long did it take you to get through 50 states?
Well, I have one that I haven't set foot in and a couple that I haven't signed in. The one that I haven't even set foot in is Wyoming. We were about 10 minutes from the border, and we thought, we'll get back here. We don't want to just drive over the border and come back. And then we've had a hard time because the kids got older and it was harder. But we started in the summer of 2003, right after, my mom was sick, and my husband's mom, my mother-in-law, had died, and a good friend of ours died that summer suddenly, and we realized, you have no guarantees that you can save this for, we might not be here. We have to do it now, because we'd always talked about doing that. So we did it. We just decided, where should we go first? And we went to Alaska. That was the first, and we just thought, what a great adventure for these kids to have, and for us to be able to spend time with them. And P.S., we hardly get to see them anymore. Like, they're so busy, and my older son's away at college, so it was the right decision.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Like, I'm so jealous of your sons.
We kept telling them, because there were times when they were in the backseat of a car, like driving from, we drove from Houston to South Dakota one summer, and they were like, they don't thank us, really.
So, we're nearing the end of our chat, so just a few more questions. One of them is, do you have any advice for its aspiring writers?
Definitely. The thing that I did that, was completely meant to help me learn the industry from behind the scenes was I worked in a bookstore when I was in college, and right after college I worked in 2 independent bookstores, so that I got to know, which publishers published, which genres, what was making a customer pick up one book over another, or, I just wanted to understand the marketing side of the business, because for me it was art. But I realized that if I want to make a living at it, I had to sell what I wrote. So I had to see it as a product, and I had to learn how people buy and sell those products. So that is, if you want to write for publication, that's my piece of advice. If you want to sell your work, then find out what makes people buy and sell it. If you want to write just for yourself, then just reading is the best research you can do. It's the best inspiration.
Mm-hmm. And what are you reading right now?
I'm reading a box full of books. I'm an Edgar's judge. I won't say which category, but I have a box full of books that I'm working my way through, and they're awesome. They're great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I don't know. I'm probably not allowed to say exactly what, so that's why but it's good.
And so we're going to go back to the novel we're promoting. Is there a message in your novel that you want readers to grasp?
Yes, it's The Perfect Stranger. Here's the book, and the message is that this woman has fought for her life once before. She will not let anything come between her and her children and her family, home and hearth, and the things that really matter to her. And I think that that's the message that I want readers to take from it, just sort of that you just don't give up, because now she's facing this battle again. This time the predator is, she doesn't even know who the predator is. It's behind a familiar face. But I think that she's really got that she'll fight to the end to protect what's important to her. And don't let your guard down on the internet, of course.
Yes, read this book and you'll understand why.
Exactly.
So, the last question I have is there anything you want to say to your readers now that you have a chance to just say whatever you want?
I love you. I love you guys. I love my readers. I'm really grateful to them because without them, like, where would I be? Every book I write, I have them in mind, and I never let myself just phone it in and get lazy because I know, like, they, I mean, they're there. They're there. They've supported me for 20 years, so I'm really grateful. And my new readers, I really enjoy interacting with them. It's genuine, so come find me online on Facebook and on my websites. I'm frequently online with them. Social networking.
It's great. I love the internet, that's for sure. So now we're going to talk about the giveaway because Wendy here is so awesome and she's going to be giving away the Perfect Stranger. Yes, that is what it looks like. It's very beautiful. And in order to win, this live chat is going to become a YouTube video. And when it becomes a YouTube video, you must comment on that video. And then the second thing, this is optional because not everybody has Twitter, is to follow Wendy on Twitter. And then if you do, Twitter, who says Twitter?
I like it. I like it.
And if you do follow her, put your username in the comment so I can verify the entry. And I will also put her Twitter username in the description after this chat, so you don't have to Google search it because I'm just awesome like that, and I don't like taking extra steps, so why should you? No, and this ends next Monday, so the 18th of August, and this is international. The international people get ebooks though, because it's really expensive to ship. But it's a book. A book is a book. So that's it. Thank you so much, Wendy. I had a great time talking to you.
You're awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, and I will talk to you later, and I'll talk to everybody else later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.